Northern Ireland experienced a violent conflict from the 1960s through the 1990s that resulted in the death of more than 3,000 people. This conflict, known as the Troubles, occurred between the two main religious groups in the area, Catholics and Protestants. The two sects see the conflict differently based on their view of the issue of Irish Home Rule. This has caused the two groups to politically separate. Catholics see it as a nationalist struggle for self-determination or a problem of unfair practices by unionist governments between the 1920s and 1970s. They want Northern Ireland to become a part of the Republic of Ireland. The Protestants view the conflict in constitutional and security terms and are primarily concerned about preserving the union with Britain and resisting the perceived threat of a united Ireland. They want Northern Ireland to stay with the United Kingdom. Luckily, the violence has ended, and only the memory of this terrible time period remains in people's minds. Northern Ireland is located on the western side of Europe, occupying the same island as the Republic of Ireland. It was created when the island was partitioned in 1921. 26 counties gained independence from Britain and became Ireland, while the northern 6 counties remained part of Britain. These 6 counties formed what is now known as Northern Ireland under the Government of Ireland Act 1920. At this time, 2/3 of the population was Protestant. The Catholic minority was marginalized and discriminated against through actions including but not limited to police harassment, exclusion from public service events, and not allowing Catholic representatives in Parliament. During World War II, Northern Ireland was prosperous, but in the years after, its economy began to decline. Starting in the 1960s, the Catholics began to campaign for more access to political power and cultural recognition. Paramilitary groups began to operate on both sides, and marches and protests were held throughout Northern Ireland. British soldiers were brought in to control the rioting. In defense of the Catholics, the Irish Republican Army, or IRA, emerged and the two paramilitary groups butted heads. The IRA regards itself as a descendant of the Irish Republican Army that fought in the Irish War of Independence in the early 20th century. The British Army ran house-to-house searches and limited curfew in order to control the IRA. The fighting raged on through the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. The official fighting finally ended in the 90s, when both sides agreed to sign the Good Friday Agreement. This document gave both religious groups a say in the government. Some may say that the fighting really ended when the IRA stated in 2005 that it was entering a new era in which it would renounce violence. But before the fighting was over, there were many significant events in the war process. In 1971, Brian Faulkner, the 6th and last Prime Minister of Northern Ireland, introduced internment. Internment is detention of suspects without trial. Also, in 1971, Britain announced direct rule over Northern Ireland in order to control the conflict. One of the most bloodiest events happened on January 1972. On this day, known as Bloody Sunday, 27 protesters were shot by British Army Parachute Regiment in Derry. 13 of the 27 died. In 1976, IRA prisoners began to protest. It started as the blanket protest, in which the prisoners refused to wear prison uniforms. In 1978, the dispute escalated into the dirty protest, in which they would not wash themselves and covered the cell walls with excrement. Hunger strikes then started. One protester, Bobby Sands, was elected into Parliament during the strike. The strike was called off after 10 people had starved to death, including Bobby Sands. The Troubles have caused many to lose loved ones. Countless innocent people died and hatred blinded an entire country. Hopefully, the people of today can learn from the mistakes made in Northern Ireland and never see the repetition of what happened.